later. Hi everybody,
Okay.
how are you? Welcome to episode 16, yay, of the Soul Truth Conversations show. Today I have an incredible guest lined up for you. I got the beautiful Julia. Now Julia, let me know if I say this right, but Nagatova?
Yes, Nagatova. Hi Claire.
Hi. And Julia
so
is
amazing
incredible.
to be here.
So Julia digs into astrology. She helps you to find your gifts, helps you to find like really who you are, like through your design, through your astrology, through all the things, so that you can really start to embody your gifts. And she loves to work with people, within relationships to business and all that kind of stuff. So we're going to be digging into that today. We're going to be getting the truth out of Julia, the real, raw, honest, soulful conversations about astrology, about relationships and business and all that beautiful stuff that we're going to be tapping into. So welcome, Julia. Welcome to the show.
Thank you so much, Claire. I'm so excited. So happy to be here.
Yeah.
And share the space with you.
Yeah, I've seen Julia out on the online space now for quite some time. I'm not sure if you can even miss Julia. Like, she's all the beautiful bright colors, she's got lovely energy. And we were just saying as we were coming on here, is like, it's so lovely, like, to see yourselves, like, we all see each other out on the online space, but when you're actually in a container like this and you can talk and connect and be in person, it's just everything just gets amplified. So I'm really excited today. Julia's definitely going to bring the energy.
Amazing.
Yeah,
I'm happy to share my energy as well, and it's so good because you're so uplifting as well, right? So it's like we encourage and empower each other, so that's amazing.
Yeah, I love it. Yeah, when we start activating off each other, it's like, so I love that. So Julia, please come in and introduce yourself. Tell us, we would love to know a little bit about your story. Like, let us get to know you, where you sort of came from and where you are now and why you help the people that you do. I would love to get to know you.
Yes, of course. Well, some people maybe wonder where's my accent from. So I get this question quite a lot. Just gonna start there straight away. I was born in Ukraine, and I know now Ukraine is like very like in the eyes, before people it's like, where is it? I was like, now I'm just like, oh, okay, are you okay? So I was born in Ukraine, I grew up in Germany. And then one day I decided that is not my life. I want so much more. And I decided to go to Australia. And then out of 1 year, it was 2 years. And out of 2 years, it was 6 years. And all of a sudden, I had completely changed my life. I used to be financial analyst, like working with numbers. And I'm like, this is so boring. I need something else. I was living on this 49th floor in Sydney, overlooking everything. I'm like, there must be more to life. Come on. It's like, there must be something more. I know the boats are nice and the parties are nice and the getting wasted on the horse races is nice. But I can feel something is missing in my life. So that was the defining moment where I said, okay, I got to change everything. And I quit my job. I quit all of my friends. I quit the partying, the drinking, and all of that stuff. And then all of a sudden I started to go into spirituality. I had a spiritual awakening. I was suicidal because of the relationship. And all of that started to come together. And somehow I came into, first into property, into real estate. And then somehow I went from real estate into the mindset, and that how we think pretty much determines everything else. And I'm like, hold on, I can relate to that. It's like something that I've been doing like intuitively all of my life. And so I started to dig deeper and deeper and deeper. And then I've done my NLP and I'm like, okay. I think I get the sense now where I belong and what I'm supposed to do. But I was so confused because as many people probably that are watching you, Claire, they know probably human design and manifesting generators. So it's like, you're so multi-passionate. You can do this one moment and next thing, another thing. It's like, I love sports, I love real estate, I love the arts, and I love travel. It's like, my God, what I'm going to do with my life, what I'm going to do with my business. Yeah. So I remember that astrology was something that was like really like from my childhood. I was very fascinating as a Scorpio. And then I started to look into this chart and I started to go very, very deep, like in everything, in your karma, in your destiny, in the business, in your skills, in your gifts and passions and purpose. And that was like my thing. I'm like, whoa, there's so much about us that we don't know, that nobody's telling us about. So I started to do my business based on what I discovered about myself. And then I started to do coaching, and I started to do the same reading for my clients. And I'm like, I've done this reading for myself. Let me try it with you. Are you interested? And let's see what's going to come out. And everybody was curious. It's like, let's do this. And everyone was like, oh my God, Julia, that resonates so much. Now I really find myself. Now I understand myself. And so we started to pretty much do the coaching based on that reading that we do, because now we like literally unlock all of that, who this person is. And I help them to become who they are. And since that's been the most fulfilling thing I've been doing. So it's amazing.
I love that so much. I love that.
Thank
so
you.
I'm a 1/3 splenic manifestor in human design, and my one line is like learning. I love to learn. I never used to as a child, hated school. It was so difficult. But once you start learning things that you really enjoy and really resonate in your body, it's like, so I like take on learning. And I went into human design and astrology. I loved astrology. And I was
What's your zodiac?
I was like, okay, I'm going to take this. I'm going to do readings for my clients. And I did one reading. And I was just like, no, this is not for me. I'm not meant to be doing the readings. This was just for me to learn who I was. How do I act? Why do I act like I do? And all the beautiful stuff. And I've always, as a child, loved, I remember going to Australia. I think it was 2003, I want to say, or 2013.
Okay.
I can't remember. But and I remember going into the little like news agents, and they used to have the little books and these little scrolls with like your, Pisces and all the different star signs and stuff. And I would take it and it would like read about my day. And, I would really get into that at that time. I was like so into it. And then, recently, over the last sort of year, 2 years, like really digging deep into that. And I know the benefits that come from that. So obviously your clients been in your hands with that, when I guess you almost know them better than they know themselves.
I do. That's what I was asking you. So what is your zodiac? Do you know, like, what is your zodiac? Because once I start to understand the personality, I see the person from a whole different perspective. And then I start to share stuff with them that they kind of knew, but then they forgot, these type of things. So it's very interesting. Yeah, after I do the reading, I know the person better than anybody else.
Yeah, exactly. And so I'm a Pisces sun, Pisces rising, and Leo moon.
You're the healer, the intuitive healer.
There we go. Yeah, when I started reading up and learning all about the different stuff, it was just like, oh, okay, yeah, that makes sense. I have 0 Earth as well. 0 Earth.
0 Earth, but because you're water, right? So you're water, and then you're like, because I'm Scorpio, I'm water as well, right? So we are very intuitive. We are very like in touch with our emotions, or like with other people's emotions. We absorb, we feel. And you are also like this dreamer, like you can literally like sit and then come up with these brilliant ideas, and you want to do something about them, right? You want to create from that space, because also like when you work with clients, you just pick up stuff. So
100%. I love that. And just before we came on, I was also saying, like, I've had this huge like new realization, download, whatever the hell you want to call it, and it does literally feel like it just comes out of nowhere. Like I know it's from my internal power, like from source, God, energy. And I was literally, okay, I need to change everything. I need to change my website domain, like all these names are changing, everything's changing. So I'm like just super like hyped at the minute. I was like, maybe I need to go and ground myself right now. Maybe I need a little walk in the garden to ground. But so the more we're connected with your energy and all this stuff, I'm like, whoa, this is so much fun. So amazing. What was the life like when I could really resonate with you, when you were like partying, drinking, and going through that stage of suicide, attempts or thoughts, whatever? I was in the same boat.
No.
I went through depression, bipolar, wanting to leave this life. And I literally heard these words that says you have to help yourself. And as I know it is today, that was the first time that I heard God's voice within me. That is the first time that I heard my own inner voice with those words, and they saved my life. What was your pivotal moment? Like, what did you hear? What did you discover? What did you know about yourself that was like that shift, that turning point for you?
So for me, it was I never had like really good relationships. My relationship's been always like a little bit like a roller coaster, emotional roller coaster, with men, sometimes with women. Like I never had like a really good friend that I could call upon any time and be like very honest and vulnerable and share like my heart pretty much. And what happened was like I was single now, and I was looking like now into properties. I was into real estate. I was flipping and just like literally selling houses. And all of a sudden I met this guy, and he was giving me so much attention that I kind of got like really like addicted to this attention. But I met him at the party in Bondi Beach in Sydney. And then I did not give him my number, but somehow he found me through friends on Instagram, and he kept on texting and texting and texting. And then he's like, oh, I'm leaving Australia. I'm going to US, and then I'm going to England. But I want to see you. But he was giving me so much attention every day. I was like, every 2 hours or something, a message, a heart, this. So like, it was just like bombarding me with love pretty much, right? And when you have been like single for a long time, well, in the moment, it feels really good, right? But you don't know that is actually toxicity, right? Not many people understand that. So I kind of blindly, like literally was absorbing all of that. And by that time, I've been 4 years in Sydney. And all of a sudden, I've never been home. Like I never went home to Germany, not even once, or back to Europe. Like nobody could get me out of Australia. And then all of a sudden we were on a call, and he's like, come on, I'm going to pay you the flight to London. Let's meet in London. I was like, I've never been to London. And I'm like, am I really flying now? And all of a sudden I was on a plane to London. I never had left Australia like in 4 years. And all of a sudden I was on a 23 hours flight to see that guy that I saw only once at a party.
Wow.
And I'm like, oh my God, what am I doing? So we spent a beautiful 10 days in London. That was my memory of London. And then I quickly understood, like I was rising, I was into personal development. I was to Tony Robbins, Wim Hof, Dr. Joe Dispenza, like literally still speaking like a meter in front of me, you know. And then I met this guy, and I stood like the path where I was going already, I was already on a path. And the path that where this guy was on was completely two different paths. Like he was hanging out with his old friends from school. It's like, oh, we're gonna have like a party with the boys, like in somewhere like before you get like to the wedding, right? It's like we're just gonna meet everybody, like 20 guys from like I don't know, from school. And I'm like, what are you doing with all of these people? So we kind of started to understand we are completely like different people on the way. Yes, that we made the best out of the time. And so I got back on the plane, 23 hours back to Sydney. And he was already by that time in Spain and drinking hardcore. And when I arrived in Sydney, there was no message. There was no call. And the next day there was nothing. And then there was nothing. And that got me, it's like, wow, you just spent you invested like 2 or 3 months texting with this guy, then being 10 days with him in the same Airbnb, sleeping in the same bed, having the same fun. And then you're flying back and zero, like literally zero contact. And if anybody been like in a toxic relationship, they know like it can like literally like break your heart, even though logically you understand it's not meant to be.
Yeah.
But that was like very, very like deep. And I landed in Sydney, and I had this 3-day seminars. It was just 2019. I had this 3-day seminars that I needed to go to attend with all these millionaires. And I was sitting there and I was just literally crying. Like crying, I could not focus. There was nothing. I was like, oh my God, please brain function again. Nothing was helping me. And then the day after, I was walking along the beach, and I'm like, God, please, universe, what's going on? Why do I have these toxic relationships? Why am I able to live in different countries, like build my life up again, learn a different language, create a lifestyle for myself, have a business, be around millionaires, and then coming from that, excuse me, shit bag, and that person is not even like texting me or asking me, hey, did you land well? Like, you know, like none of that. Nothing. So I was devastated, and I was walking down this path like on Sydney, and like like you can literally like jump down. And I'm like, God, if you're not gonna help me, I'm literally gonna suicide. Like I'm done here. Like I started to think about all of the people before, you know, all of the, like I started to message that friend, and that message said to me, yeah, I can maybe see you today. But then she's like an hour later, she's posting stories with her ex-husband and telling me she has no time. And I'm like, why are you with your ex-husband? We've been talking about it like for 6 months. Right? And now I need help and you're telling me you don't have time. And like everything just came together. I'm like, I'm ready to go. Like, I'm ready to give it up. Like nothing makes sense. So I started to talk to God. And I'm like, you gotta either gonna help me out here, or I'm literally just taking that road here. And then it's like, okay, like I had nobody to call. I could not talk to my mom. I could not tell anybody else. I was so ashamed. This one friend in Sydney, she was not responding. I'm like, I don't know what to do. And that's the craziest part that happened. I got this message on my phone. You registered for a, sorry, I can't say the name, almost said the name. You registered for a webinar. It's literally starting now. It's about the brain. It's about the mindset. Come online now. And I was like, oh, okay, I have nothing else to do. Maybe that's gonna help.
Yeah.
So I click on that link, and there's this guy talking about the mindset and the psychology in the brain. And I'm like, wow, that is so exciting. This is so interesting. And that moment I found my passion. Like literally, I did not know I was so passionate about the mind and all of that. So I was like very, very like engaged. I started to take notes. I went to the next cafe. Is that, do you have like a paper? Because I'm literally journaling like crazy. I have so many journals. I was like, do you have pen and paper? I need to take notes. He's talking so fast. He's giving so much information. I need to take notes. And so they gave me some notes. And then I was like listening. It was like for 8 hours. So after 8 hours listening to this guy, I'm like, okay, fuck the suicide. Fuck this guy.
We're back on.
We're back to life now. It worked. And I purchased this program. And then I purchased another program. And all of a sudden I had like 5 of his programs. The first one was meditations. It's like, I did not sign up for meditations. Why am I receiving meditations? I don't want to do meditations. Give me something better than that.
Yeah.
But listening for 1 month, I understood, oh, it's helping me actually. And the story goes like way beyond that. So I was listening to this guy for half a year now. And then we get on the Zoom. I won a hot seat session in like a group of 16,000 people, clients. Wow. I won a hot seat session. And then we got like half a year later on the Zoom. And there's like this soul recognition, something that I never heard before. It's like, I never knew something about that. Like I just had my spiritual awakening like 2 months before that. And I just feel so much attraction. This guy is like 20 years older, is married, is on the other side of the world, has 2 kids, is in, I don't know how many books, how many movies, you know, and I'm like, what is going on with me? It's like this next relationship, you know? So long story short, he started to be my mentor. We started to get on Zoom calls and we started to develop a telepathic relationship, something that I was not familiar with. Something that I did not know exists, something that was like too much for my brain to comprehend. And we started to have telepathic communication. And then we would kind of check in with each other. And then because we had also coaching calls, like in the group setting of 5 people, but kind of he was like making comments to the conversations that we had telepathically. And I'm like, this is insane. This is literally insane. I'm losing my mind.
Right.
And out of that become a telepathic sexuality. So pretty much we had like orgasms, like I could be like anywhere he's there, I am there, we just connect the energies. And that would go on for 1.5 years.
Wow.
And then I needed to get out of that relationship. And that is when my literally like all the healing started. So he was like, he rescued me from suicidal, but he activated all of the wounds that I had, like, you know, all of that. And I was like, I was coming back from Australia. I left Australia because of him, came back to Germany after 6 years. COVID started, just literally before COVID. And I'm like, I need to work on myself. I understood why all of that happened. I got literally with a narcissist. He was like an energy vampire. It took all of my energy, like, you know, and, you know, like they get like very, very successful, even faster, and we lose ourselves. I could not recognize myself. Like I had this telepathic communication 24/7 in my brain for like almost a year. And I'm like, God, you got to help me to get out of that because I feel like I don't have a life anymore. And then he reminded me again, you have a powerful mindset. You can stop that. You need to take your power back. You need to get like literally of something else.
Yeah.
And I started doing that. And from then I started to coach people. And from then people come to me and they like tell me stories. I'm like, yeah, I know. There are stories that I would not believe either if I would not have experienced them.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, I can resonate with so much about what you're saying, Julia, especially on the relationship thing. Because what I realize now looking back was exactly what you say is I'd given all my power away into men, into relationships from such a young age. It was like, I think because I'd seen my mum and dad in such a successful, loving relationship that I thought love was that. I didn't understand that it came from myself. And so I was always trying to fit in, always felt like I needed a boyfriend because that was the love. I had love of my family, love of my friends, but it wasn't the love that I was searching for. And so I went, through like many relationships, and each one would, so say back then, fail me. They weren't romantic, they weren't respectful, never really matched up with what I wanted. And it led to this place where I was in my marriage. I was not happy. I was soulfully dead, just wanting to come out of that. And that's what led to the depression, bipolar, and all of that. And I had to start to help myself. And with the relationship, what I realized was missing and what I'd been chasing in others was the relationship with myself. Was that self-love. And it was then when I had that connection with myself, I went, do you know what? I do not need a relationship anymore. I don't. I'm out. I'm good. I don't need one. And then after like, I don't know, a few months or so, it was sort of like a year later. And I remember sitting on the sofa one day and like my kids had gone up to bed. They were young then. It was 7 p.m. Saturday night. Claire that used to go drinking, partying, had all the friends, like that had all stopped. And I was just sat on the sofa and I was like, well, is this now my life? Like I'm on my own, kids are in bed, 7 p.m. Saturday night, can't go out because the kids are in bed. What do I do? And I was like, well, do you know what? Actually, I do desire to have a relationship. But it was then that I was like, okay, I don't need one. I desire one. And if I'm going to have a relationship, it's going to be like this. And we're going to have fun. He's going to be really romantic. Like I never knew I wanted romance in my relationship. So I was like, no, I don't want the flowers. I don't need the chocolates. I don't need any of that. And actually,
come on.
And actually, I did. My soul did. I didn't realize I was such a masculine woman that
power woman.
I went in engineering. I was surrounded by men. I did engineering apprenticeship, surrounded by men. I was a masculine woman, like I didn't need a man. And so that was like, but I always remember watching, films like Pretty Woman, My Best Friend's Wedding, like all those chick flick stuff that I used to love. My soul used to love that. And I think when I got really honest and I thought, do you know what I want? I want that romantic movie style relationship. And everybody around me were like, Claire, you're just mad. Like, that only happens in the movies. That doesn't happen in real life. You need to work at a relationship. They're not going to be 100%. And I remember I dated one guy up in London. I went up for a few weekends with him. And he was still searching for his woman. Do you know what I mean? We were just moving through time together. Let's put it that way. And I remember him saying like, the woman that I spend the rest of my life with is going to be 100%. I was like, good luck with that, because that never happens. But what he said really landed with me. And now I was at a place of choice where I didn't need a man anymore because I'd done the work on myself. I started to love who I was, that need, what I was looking for was actually inside of me now, that I got to make the choice. And I was like, okay, he's going to be romantic. We're going to be like, have great fun together. We're going to work together. We're going to play hard. We're going to travel. We're going to do this, do this, do this, do this. We're just going to have this big family life. It's going to be amazing. And I think I wrote about 2 sentences and that was it. That was all my man was, 2 sentences. And I remember the guys at work going, you need to go online dating. I was like, no, never going to happen. But this Saturday night, 7 p.m, I was like, well, you're not going to meet anybody in your living room, are you, Claire? So it was like,
good point.
Quickly created an online profile on this online dating app. And a few people were coming through and I was like, ooh, this is a bit scary because I don't know who these people are. Like, this is like new territory. And then I met one guy for coffee and I couldn't get a word in edgeways. And I was like, okay. And then I saw Simon's profile and we started chatting. We were having conversations and he was away in Spain at the time with his kids. And I think he was on the balcony of their hotel room and he said, I need to go. I got to go to kids disco with my 2 kids. And I was like, if he can go and get up on the stage and be with his kids and dance with his young kids at kids disco, like this is a man that's got a beautiful heart like this. And I was like, I think I want to meet you for coffee. So I messaged him, was like, when you get back, should we meet up? And he was in a very similar situation. He'd come out of a marriage. He was working on himself. He was just looking for like some companionship, was not looking for full-time relationship or anything. And so we met up one day at a local park. We ended up having a 12-hour first date. We literally had coffee. We went for lunch. We came back to my house because after about 6 hours, I remembered that I hadn't gone home to let my dog out. So I was like, oh my God, my dog, I need to get home. It was a scorching day. And I said, look, you have to come with me. We're going to let my dog out and then we go off again. I said, just to pre-warn you, my parents live in the annex of the property, but don't worry, they're out. So we drive home, I let the dog out and I look in the garden, there's my mum and dad. And I'm like, oh shit. So I was like, Simon, just let you know my parents are actually in the garden. And now I've let the dog out, they actually know that we're here. And he was like, that's fine, that's fine. Anyway, walked out in the garden, my mum and dad are there having an ice cream and that. And they didn't even know I was going on a date. You know, you just like cover everything up. And I was like, okay, there's my mum and dad. Anyway, then we went off for a few more hours. We went out for dinner and all this good stuff. 12 hours later, he'd already met my mum and dad. And I have never looked back from that day. Within a few months, he'd moved in. It wasn't planned or anything. It was his ex-wife was going on holiday. She needed us to look after their family dog. I had an older dog. He had a younger dog. I still had 2 kids. I was on my own. I said, you'll have to move in. You look after the dogs. I'll look after the kids. And then when she came back, she didn't want the dog anymore. She didn't want to take the dog back. And he lived in a flat. So he was like, what am I going to do with this dog? And I was like, well, it gets on with my dog and we're all right, aren't we? Should we just keep going? So I ended up with not just my man of my dreams, but his dog, his 2 children, and now we all live together in this home. But the dog, he passed away at the beginning of the year. So we love you, Bentley. He's gone. But it was just how it was all meant to be. Like you say, when you realize that the work is the inside, there's nothing wrong. These relationships, they just kept showing me like everything that needed to be healed. And I didn't know that at the time. It was always they were XYZ. And so I completely understand and resonate with you. And I think the partying and the drinking was just a way of covering up the pain and doing all that stuff. But the minute then any male almost had a few limits would show me that attention, it makes you feel so good when you've been denying yourself the love, denying yourself that attention, to have somebody else, like you were saying, give you that attention. It's so easy to be pulled and drawn in because it feels so amazing. It makes you feel like you're the most beautiful, incredible woman in the world. And then bang, you get hit, you know, that it's just not the right person and you're left heartbroken again. And all those feelings, I can feel it now, like all those feelings on my cup are just like, no, I didn't sign up for this in my life. So I can 100% resonate with that. And like you were saying, and we were saying at the beginning, like with the line 1, I love learning. My school days were like my hardest days. They were so difficult for me. And from that time, I always made myself not good enough. But the minute it was like, learn about yourself, learn about the mind, learn about who you are, learn about source energy, learn about God, learn about your personas, learn about, I'm like, just give me all that stuff. Hence astrology and human design and all that good stuff. So once you started to create that relationship back with yourself and do the work on your mindset, and how did life start to change? What does life look like for you right now?
So for me, it was like always, first of all, was my environment, because I knew that, like, born in Ukraine, growing up in Germany, it's like, well, the weather is pretty much like in England. You know, it's raining pretty much all of the time. It's gray, right? And I always, like, I started to say to my mom since I was 14, it's like, Mom, I need to live somewhere where the sun is shining. And I want, like, the beach. I want to go to the beach. I want to love the palm trees, you know. And she's like, you're dreaming. You're like literally dreaming. It's like, no, I want to be on the boat. Where I'm gonna be on a boat here in the river or something.
Yes.
You know. And my mom was like, you're watching too many movies. Come back to
Right.
now, right?
Yeah. Stop dreaming.
So exactly. So the big, because I started to talk about movies, right? For me, the activating movie was Eat, Pray, Love. So
Yeah.
that was like when I went to Australia, and when I came back from Australia, and then I was in this relationship that was very toxic. I could not talk to anybody. I could not even go to any, like, psychologist or something, because I went to one and they said, like literally, I recommend you, like, go to the psychiatry. And I'm like,
Right.
no, I'm sane. I'm sane, right?
Yeah.
It's like, no, you summon some dark stuff. I was like, no, I'm okay. I gotta go again. It's like nothing's gonna happen to me. So I needed to really take all of the power, find the power within me to get myself out of whatever I landed in, because nobody could help me. Like, you cannot, like, find a lot of stuff about that online, because it's like very telepathic. It's kind of been there before, people getting back into that. So it was like very edgy for me myself. My mom, I came back home and I recognized, oh my God, my mom is a narcissist. That makes now all of a sudden so much sense why I'm attracting all of these toxic men.
Mm-hmm.
So I started to work on my subconscious, as you can imagine, all of these emotions, and people process all of that stuff. And it was, it took me some time to find that energy, to find that power, to rebuild myself. Clear, like, I was at a point, like, I remember I was waking up in my bed. I had no energy to get up. I had no energy to brush my teeth. I had no energy to get in the shower and not to hold the hair dryer. I'm like, whoa. And I'm a person that has a lot of energy normally. I was like, whoa, we've never been here. Like, what is going on?
Yeah.
So long story short, I decided in a moment, I need to take responsibility. I'm the only one who can get myself out of that, because nobody's going to come and help me. Nobody's going to come and rescue me.
Yeah.
That is just out of anyone's ability. You know, you can't even, like, hope or dream about that, right? So that was the turning point. And then I started to look into the business, and I'm like, okay, I need to put all of my focus into the business. And all of a sudden, like, I got like I went to the bank and I'm like, okay, this is my business plan. This is what I want to do. It was Corona already, right? Like a couple of weeks in, and they said, like, look, it's Corona. You're not going to get anything. Like, probably going to be like eight weeks until you're going to hear back from the bank in general. And then all of a sudden, within a week, she's like, okay, the money's already in your account. And I'm like, woo, the universe is on my side, right? Yeah. And then I called them and I said, look, since we are like in Germany, like we are in like in European Union, right? It's like, it doesn't make any difference where I live. And I was like, no, you can live anywhere in Europe. It's like, all right. So universe, I gotta get out of Germany. I can't be here any longer. I need to get back to my normal environment. So like sun and beach and all of that pleasures, right? And no flights, like literally no flights. Like normally it's like 100 flights a day, and then it's like cancel. And then I was just meditating. It's like, universe, give me a sign. And then a Svedra from Ibiza came up, like on my phone. I was listening to music, and all of a sudden, like this big rock, like very magnetic rock, came up on my screen, and I'm like, I know where you are. It's like, I know you. It's like, if you're gonna come up back on my phone, I'm gonna book a ticket. Same night, I'm going to bed, scrolling through. A friend of mine is posting a picture with a Svedra in the background. And I'm like, hold on, we had that conversation like 2 hours ago. Now I need to book a flight, like literally. It was a Wednesday, and I booked a flight for Saturday. I did not know what's gonna happen. I just was like, okay, I'm gonna just take the one at 11 a.m. I came to the airport, canceled. 2 flights were going, one of them were mine.
Of course.
I'm like, oh my God. Got on the plane, got to Ibiza. So since I'm in Ibiza, and then I started to work on the business. I started like literally taking all of the knowledge that I had now, healing the relationship. So for me, first of all, it was very hard to talk about relationships. People saw me like as a relationship coach, and I was wondering why. I was like, I'm going through so much mess, right? It's like, how can I be the relationship coach? And then, but they kept on coming, like with problems, with issues, with marriages, like unhappy marriages and all of that stuff, and self-love and confidence and all of these things. So I started to record the course on relationships, and I was channeling pretty much the course. It's like every week I was channeling and channeling. There was so much information coming out, right? So I started to do the work that I have done with them. And it was like probably one of the most transformational courses that I have created. And then started to, to just do more into business. It's like now I'm doing like the business, like helping people to find their way, to find their destination, their purpose in life. And then also with the relationships. And what happens, people come to me for business, and all of a sudden we talk about relationships.
Right. Yeah.
And I'm like, okay, I'm doing both anyway. But since you asked, so right now I'm at this point, it was like, I feel like the universe is asking me more of relationships, because when I was surrounded by all of these people, there were people that had no money. There were people that had a poor mindset about money, right? And all of the things. And now I'm here and I'm living like in one of the most prestigious areas. Like I go out and meet I actually like met some very like high profile people. They're like literally coaching German like politicians, like a very high top. And all of a sudden we're sitting at the table, I'm looking at the charts, and it's like, okay, about your potential and about the relationships. It's like, that is like the next level of me.
Yeah,
that is what I've been working on. For me, was like my environment is most important. And now that I see how much that environment has changed, how much I have changed, how much I have started to create that life, that I was like, I want to live where other people come on vacation.
Right. Yeah.
And it's literally like in front of my door, like literally, right?
Amazing.
And I started to look after myself. I started to find myself again, right? So for me, I'm still single. And I actually said this year, this is going to be my year of being single and like really taking my business like completely like up and running, like 100% like investing just in the business. But now that we have this conversation and the people come to me, they want to talk about love and about relationships, about self-love, I feel the pull that probably something is going to happen this year. So this is where I find myself currently.
I love that. It's absolutely beautiful, and I can relate so much to your story. Oh, Julia, this has been incredible. Could you please let our viewers know, where can they come and find you? Where do you hang out on the online space?
Yeah, so of course, so julianagatova.com, Julia Nagatova in Facebook, and also in YouTube. So on some people that are curious about the videos with my telepathic experience, there are a couple of videos up there. Otherwise, I'm most of the time on Facebook. I do have the Instagram as well. It's like Love and Passion by Julia. And yeah, it was very great talking to you, Claire, because I love the stories that you shared. And I think like we can like really like resonate with each other so much. Yeah, it would be nice to maybe have another conversation, or maybe like talk to you like in more depth about relationships, because I feel like we have like so much that we can, help people, and then really like go into depths of what it's like to heal, to do the inner work. Something that I do every day, but I feel like you do the same with yourself and with your clients, right?
100%. Yes, yeah, 100%. I love this. Thank you so much. I know the viewers are going to get so much from this. And it's so funny, just before we got on this call, I was listening to some music, and then this like motivational video came on, and it was all about your story, how you tell your story, how powerful your story is. And I feel like today what we've done is spoken about your story and my story. And it's like, oh, of course, because that was the sign that came through. That was why that was talking about stories. And I'm like, all we've done is talk about our story, but the power in the story. And I know that all the listeners and viewers watching this are going to get so much from these stories. There is so much power in stories.
Yeah.
And people are going to resonate, people are going to reach out, they're going to do all the things. So thank you to everybody watching and listening here. Julia, thank you again so much. This has been incredible, and I will speak to you all soon. Take care.
Thank you so much, Claire. Take care. Thank you,
Bye.
everybody.